Okay. Barb, tell us what class that you gave your students an assignment that involved making video.
I teach English 237, which is Women in Literature, and the students are required to read quite a lengthy novel, The Poisonwood Bible. It's about 600 slightly plus pages, and because it's not a writing class, it's a survey of literature, I require them to do a project that's about 20% of the overall grade. And I encourage them to create whatever they want to create. And then mostly this class is taught online, so I have them create a YouTube of their project so that the other students can view it. And this particular one actually has been viewed over 7,000 times. Did you see that? Over
Wow,
7,000 times.
that's huge.
So it's really big. But and of course, some students that's kind of technologically challenging, and so they opt for other ways to do the presentation. But YouTube works really well as a learning tool and as a teaching tool.
So how did you give them, how many options did you give them to do this kind of project?
Oh, it's endless. It's completely up to them.
Okay.
You mean as far as presentation, or?
Yeah, so you didn't say make
It
a
has to
video.
be a video on
So
YouTube.
it could be
Um,
this.
I,
could
I
be-
kind of limit them to the way that they will present it on Blackboard, so that it's open for all students, whether they're from Yavapai College or not. And I think that's evidenced by the fact that so many are seen. But YouTube is easy because everybody can view projects. If they send it in various other presentation platforms, not everybody can open them. YouTube, if they've got internet, and they do because they're taking an online class.
Okay, so some people might have done a PowerPoint
Absolutely.
for the same deal. Okay, so, but it's kind of visually or multimedia based.
Exactly,
On how
exactly.
that-
And it's
okay.
not about technology for me. It really is about the literature, but it's so good for the content to be able to use YouTube. And I've used YouTube to teach embedded videos and pulled things off of YouTube before, and then the students are savvy enough that they can do it.
And so you
No.
did they encounter technical problems? They say, oh no.
The ones that would be encountering technical problems opt for a different way to present. And this person that created this is beyond my abilities technologically, but they did a beautiful job. It's really cool. Can I talk about
Yes,
what it is?
sure,
So
yeah,
they
please
took, they made a trailer, a movie trailer for a movie that doesn't exist on a Barbara Kingsolver book that does. And so obviously they had to understand a great deal about the literature to be able to do that. They have video of characters and appropriate music from the Congo and that kind of thing. It's pure genius. That's the best of the best, absolutely. And it's been there for a couple years, so.
Wow. And so how many times have you introduced this kind of assignment?
Oh, every time I teach the class, which is I've probably taught 237, maybe 30 times.
Oh, okay.
So-
And you've always done this kind of option? They could do
Yes.
a video or anything?
Yes.
So you have quite a bit. Have they?
Sure.
And how is, the technology for creating videos, and YouTube didn't exist, 30 semesters
Well,
ago.
sure.
So how has
That
that
was really only
changed?
7 years ago. Oh, but YouTube has gotten much more user friendly. Absolutely, it's a beautiful thing from my standpoint and from my students'
And have yours,
standpoint.
how did they do it at the beginning?
Oh, like with Movie Maker, some of the older. Is Movie Maker still available?
Sure.
Is
It
it?
is.
It is.
Still
Has it
exists.
gotten better too, like YouTube?
It's pretty much the same,
Pretty much
actually.
the same. Oh, okay.
But they would still make a video
Sure.
or other options.
Or PowerPoints
so-
with photographs in it, that kind of thing. So it's always been a component of all of my literature classes, British Lit, American Lit.
What's the feedback that you get from your students about this project?
Well, they love it, and I leave it wide open. I also teach English 101 and 102, and they're really rigid and tight about what has to be done. And it's a writing class, and you have to write 10,000 words of instructor evaluated writing, that kind of thing. And so, having taught hundreds of those classes, it's much more fun to just give them free rein. And instead of giving them a very specific rubric about what they have to answer with this project, I say, I want you to be creative. And I start off the classes with identifying, with pieces of literature that talk about creativity. Whether it's women's lit or British lit or American lit, we talk about creativity. So we end the class with a major work novel, and they just are really, really open if I'm not too rigid with them. You know, as an example, I say, if you've never painted an oil painting and you really want to, go for it. But you have to make it about the piece of literature. And I've had people do watercolor mapping of Frankenstein's creature traveling all over Switzerland, and the chase and that kind of thing. And so, but as technology has gotten more accessible and they are so savvy at it, then my projects have turned to more along this line.
Is it hard to grade those projects? How is that?
Well, it's not hard for me to grade. It's very enjoyable for me to grade, but some would argue that I give them 80%, and how do I base what that 80% is if I don't have a specific rubric that says I'm going to give you so many percentage points for something? But so it's a little more subjective than English 101, 102, and a lot of it has to do with the amount of time that it seems to me that they spend on these projects. And I ask them, and I'm sure it's slightly hyperbolic in its response, but many of them will spend 30 to 40 hours on a piece, and that's beyond reading the book and discussing the book, that kind of thing.
So it's more engaging, maybe more fun. Well, cool.
It
That's
is really
great.
cool. I really like
I want
it.
to see more of the works they might have done. The paintings too.
My office is full of
Cool.
physical work that people started, 7, 8 years ago. Is that how long ago we started teaching online? But everything has gotten much more contained within the actual class, so they get to view it very clearly. So,
Awesome.
so YouTube's great.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Very interesting. Okay.
Oh, I hope you get to